Super Bowl champions, Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast, raw and uncut. I am your host, Mike Azalina, joined by my buddy Regz, who was ready to go on a little rant before we came on, but I said, you know what? Don't do it, Regz. Let's just jump on and do it. Regz.
That's right.
How we feeling, bud?
Good. I'm feeling good. I don't mean for that to sound forced. I don't want to be upset after I'm trying not to be upset after playoff wins, because it's the playoffs. Like, we could have been the other team tonight and not had anything to talk about and been really upset. So I don't want to be that guy. So I'm very happy they won.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about things, but look, they probably had one of the harder matchups for a higher seed in this playoffs. And they came out and the defense played fantastic. They came out from the jump and literally the first play of the game and made a statement. So yes, I'm very happy to be here talking about a win and not a loss to a Packers team that, like I said, they're a good team. I didn't think we needed to be quite as scared of them. But they're still a good team, and that's still a good win, especially with your quarterback coming off not having played for almost a month.
Yeah, we're gonna cover all of it. So if you're not sure what we're here to talk about, this is our recap of the wild card victory for the Eagles today. A 22-10 victory that felt like it should have been 75-0, but was 22-10, and that's sort of, you can tell that I am jovial this evening. And the reason that I'm jovial this evening is because that might have been the worst of all the bad performances offensively that we've seen from this Eagles team this year. That was the worst. And this team still won by 12 and could have been 19. Saquon could have taken that ball to the house. And decided not to. And look, another touchdown doesn't hurt there. I guess I understand, but I'm not here. We're not going to talk about that. That's the least of the conversation. But I think what I want to mention is this is a Packer team who lost to the Vikings a few weeks ago by 2. They lost by single digits twice to the Lions. The Eagles played their C- game offensively and won by 12 tonight. And we'll talk about all of the reasons why it might have been C-. We're going to kind of roll through sort of what this game was and, you know, what ended up, why it was what it was. But that's the solace that I take in this. One thing that I do want to make sure we talk about is, certainly the Jalen thing was a concern. We talked about it last week. The other thing that I think bears mentioning, and we addressed it in our preview show, this is not a slouch of a defense from Green Bay. That's a good defense that they faced tonight. It's a defense that's very much like Vic Fangio's, in the regard that, like, you don't know what they're doing until the ball is in the quarterback's hand. They disguise everything. So you've got a guy coming off of concussion. A dude who hasn't taken snaps in literally a month. And that's going to happen. And what they started to do, which I don't think the Eagles were ready for, middle of the game, was sending pressure. I texted you, I was like, they're going to start blitzing. And they did. And that really threw the Eagles on their heels quite a bit. Not that the Eagles can't handle it, because they showed later they can. But I think the Packers knew, if we don't start sending pressure, this game's going to get out of hand fast, because they weren't getting pressure with 4. The offensive line was doing too much. So let's start. You mentioned the kickoff. Oren Burks pops the ball loose. I got a few texts like, "Oh, that's getting overturned," and I was like, "There's no way." You and I were texting like there was no evidence.
Yeah.
The ball, as he rolls on his back, he was bobbling the
Right.
ball. Like he never had clear possession of the football, at least clear enough to overturn. Eagles score almost immediately. Ton of time for Jalen. A strike to the back of the end zone. Everything looked good. They had an explosive run from Saquon on that possession. I think even Jalen had a nice run on that possession. So everything started really well. Couldn't have been better. Got a quick 3 and out, like immediately defensively. It was awesome. They did not do anything with that 3 and out. That was they gave the ball immediately back.
Yeah.
They might have gotten 1 first down there. I don't have it up actually. I'm gonna pull it up so that I can be accurate in my description. But they punted the ball back, and I think the same thing actually happened after that. I think they got it right back again. I don't think it was the Slay interception yet though.
Yeah, there was something in between that, right? There was a Packers possession in between that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to pull up. All right, here's the first. Eagles went 5 plays. Packers went 6. Yeah, it was a punt. They punted. And then the Eagles went 11 plays. That's when they kicked the field goal. That's when the Packers like went blitz on 1st and 3rd down.
In the red zone, yeah.
In the red zone, yeah. They decided because the Eagles moved the ball 43 yards on the ground and 14 in the air. And I think that's when they were like, we're going to send it. The other thing they started doing was selling out on the run on 1st down. And I texted you saying, all right, the Eagles are going to have to adjust and start throwing the ball on 1st down. On the next possession, Jordan Love threw a ball deep down the right sideline, and what a play by Darius.
Goodness
Slay,
gracious, what a play.
Yeah, because we give that dude hell.
I mean, essentially, caught it one-handed. Like,
yeah,
while running stride for stride with the guy.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, like, if that was a wide receiver making that catch, the world would have caught on fire. Like, it was that good. And that was a DB making up ground, getting his head around, and making a one-handed catch while the receiver is trying to stop him because he knew, like, Slay was in that good of a position.
Right. They definitely, that was one play that, we're saying at that point, like, all right, it's 10-0. Let's put the foot on the throat here and just put them out of their game entirely. Because they're going to want to they want to run the ball, but if you're up 17-0, it's going to be hard.
Yep.
The next drive was Saquon rush for 3, and then Jalen had the big burst on the next play. He scrambled for a big gain, but it got called back for illegal motion, and that ended the drive. A lot of these pre-snap penalties really killed the Eagles tonight, unfortunately. Nothing else really happened.
We never saw a replay of that either.
No, but I did rewind it on a commercial, and Devontae never, like, he pretty much turned upfield as the ball was being snapped. Like, he never, like, slowed his motion. So it was the right call. It was the right call. It was annoying, but it's something they have to clean up, because those types of penalties are going to be, game changers against teams like the Lions, who are going to score. So then the Green Bay starts moving the ball downfield a little bit, and they miss a field goal. The defense does a good job keeping them to a field goal, and they miss a 45-yarder. So the Eagles have another opportunity, but run 3 plays for 8 yards, 3 and out. Green Bay, 7 plays, nothing there. They end up throwing a pick to Zach Bond in the middle of the field. That, I'd love to say, Regz, like, what a play by Zach Bond, but that was, I don't even know where Jordan.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Dude, there wasn't a white jersey anywhere. Like, none. Good for Zach Bond, absolutely fantastic, but like, it was such a bad throw that it's hard to give him any credit. Of course, the Eagles do absolutely nothing and give the ball back right to the Packers. And you and I said at that point, this is all the makings of everything bad.
Yeah. I told you, this reminded me of the Commanders game where they're getting all
Yeah.
these turnovers and they're turning into nothing. And
Yeah.
we got lucky that Green Bay didn't play very well on offense. And obviously they lost a bunch of guys due to injury, which obviously you're not rooting for injuries, but
Right.
if you
Right.
if you get these momentum plays against the Vikings or the Rams or Detroit, if your defense makes these plays, you have to turn it into points.
Yeah.
Against these better teams, you have to, because if you just go 3 and out and get right back out there, they're going to go down and score.
100%.
They're not going to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
And they just could not do it tonight. They couldn't do it.
No. And again, I want to be careful in how we, go about this. Some of it was self-inflicted. Other pieces looked like they just were not in sync tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And other things, you got to give credit to a good defense when it's a good defense, and that's a good defense that they were playing. They did come out in the third quarter and do nothing, so that was fun. Immediately punted. Green Bay does come down, kick a field goal again. The defense stood tall, and then the offense finally woke up a little bit. They had a five play, 68-yard drive that was capped off by one of the best catch and runs I think I've seen. Like, where is that guy?
Yeah, right.
All of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like my brother-in-law, who's not an Eagle fan at all, and I haven't heard from, since Penn State lost Notre Dame, texted me right away and said, one man shouldn't do that to another man. And I was like, yeah, but that's what Dallas Goedert does when he's like healthy and like ingrained in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
What a freaking catch and run, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was wild.
It was.
Just throwing dudes off of them.
And it was desperately needed for a team that was like dying to get points on the board.
Right.
If we kept going down the field and getting stuffed in the red zone, it was going to be real tough.
Yeah.
We were waiting for somebody on offense to make a big play, and it happened to be Dallas.
Yeah. So then Eagles up 16-3, a missed extra point, which was not fun to watch. Yep, Jacob, but makes all of his field goals.
Of course.
All of his field goals, and not just makes, but like drills. None of them were ever in doubt.
Mm-hmm.
None of his field goals were ever in doubt. So the Packers go on a pretty decent drive. They soak up the rest of the third quarter, and then they score on the Josh Jacobs run, which was a tough run.
Yeah.
He was down, then they gave it back to him, and he scored to start the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
But a really tough run, and something that, we knew he was going to do. Like, that's the way he runs. He's very hard to bring down. And we're going to talk about the tackling after we're done recapping the game, because we have thoughts on this.
Yeah.
But the fourth quarter then really gets underway. They score right away to start. And the Eagles go on a 15-play 30 or 63-yard drive that ends in a field goal. So Jake kicks a field goal to go up 19-10. I was not upset with the decision to kick a field goal there. They soaked up a lot of time on that drive. Green Bay didn't get the ball back till 7:33.
Right.
So in my head, I'm like, the way Green Bay's moving down the field, it's little bits at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if we get the ball with 4 minutes left, we should be able to eke it out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that was part of the frustration with the offense was it was 3 and outs. It wasn't like you sustained a drive and okay, maybe something happens and you're at the 40 and you're punting it back to them. It was nothing. It was 3 plays, a minute and a half, and giving the ball right back to them.
Right.
I think that was one of the more frustrating parts, is that we should at least be able to bleed this clock and stop and give our defense a blow a little bit. But we were like, it was so inept that it was just 3 plays. All right, here you go. Let's get the punt team back out there. So you're right. It ended in a field goal, which of course you want a touchdown, but at least they ran time off the clock. It took a while. It gives Green Bay less and less time to try and come back.
7.5 minutes they bled.
Right. That's what I mean.
Which is just, it's a beautiful drive.
Mm-hmm.
And then Green Bay comes out. They get an immediate first down. But this play I felt was pretty key to the rest of the game. It was the pass to Josh Jacobs on the sideline. He turns upfield, can easily step out of bounds, decides to stay in bounds, gets hit by Cooper DeJean. We don't see him the rest of the night. If he steps out of bounds, he's not coming out of the game. And Brady praised him. He was like, he's playing hard, he's playing tough, but he had the first down either way. And he decided to stay in bounds, and he ended up not coming back in the game. They actually, after that play, 4 and out, essentially. They ran 4 plays, turnover on downs. Eagles took over the ball at 4:58. 6 plays, 12 yards, took a minute 43 seconds off the clock, kicked a field goal, 22-10, and then Green Bay tossed it up to the end zone, and Quinyon Mitchell with his first career interception.
Finally.
About time, Quinyon.
Thought they were going to take it away from him. The Zach
well,
Bond being a little bit.
Would it have surprised anybody? No, it would not have. So the Eagles eke it out. They move on to next week, awaiting to find out who. Washington just took a 13-10 lead with 10.5 left in the third. I'm assuming you and I will be able to watch the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a ton. We're just here to sort of recap. But the biggest thing for me, Regz, coming out of tonight isn't the offense. I think the offense will figure it out. I think the offense will be okay once they get more reps, once they get back on the same page and sync a little bit. Biggest concern for me leaving this week is Nakobe Dean.
Yeah.
The difference, the drop off from Nakobe Dean to Oren Burks was felt immediately tonight. And look, that's no fault of Oren Burks. He is who he is.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's who he is. So there are a few things that the Eagles can do to negate that loss. And I don't know what it's going to be. They might very well stick with Oren Burks. The experience, maybe just being like with the first team will help him over the course of the week. That's option 1. Clear option 2 is let's just see what Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has. I don't know that I want him to have snaps in the divisional round being the most important snaps that he's had to this point. So up in the air there. That's option 2. Option 3 is that they adjust the defense a little bit to just be faster, and maybe Sidney Brown gets some reps in that sort of
hybrid little
like
linebacker
hybrid
safety,
look, or maybe Reed does and they put Avante at safety. Those sorts of things are possible. I trust Vic to do what he thinks is best for the defense. Truly believe it's just going to be Burks. I don't think they're going to get super creative.
Yeah.
We've seen him flash. Like, we know that the ability is there, but the tackling was just, oh gosh. And you texted me, you were like, can one guy's tackling? Yeah, when it's the middle of the field and teams are like, well, we're just going to spread them out.
But it just seemed like everybody was like, okay, now we're going to forget how to tackle. Because
but
Nakobe was playing so well too.
Some of that, Regz, some of that is, and sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Back to it. Some of that is Nakobe's ability to get to the ball and immediately wrap guys, and then everybody just, or slow them, even if he slows them.
Right.
Whereas Burks wasn't doing that.
Yeah. He was playing so well. He was flying into those running lanes. And like you said, maybe not getting the tackle and the stop, but was slowing things down, was disrupting those plays. He was flying around and playing like really well. It was such a bummer. And nothing's come out about what it is, but like you could kind of tell by his reaction that it's not good. And it didn't even look like it was a harmless play. Like he didn't twist his leg. He didn't like, and I know you don't need that. And like we've seen legs get twisted and nothing happen. But it was just, it was a great play he made. Like flew through, made the tackle on like a little bubble screen. And you're just like, oh no.
Did you see the replay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like friendly fire. He almost he got taken out by somebody. Um, the thing that like concerns me, I think more than anything. Well, no, let me start here. Initially, I thought maybe it was his foot again
Right. Yeah.
because he looked frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looked so frustrated. So initially, I thought, oh, it's his foot again.
Yeah.
But you could read his lips, and he said, "I'm done." So I'm done. So leaving the game, he was on crutches and in a knee brace. My guess is it's an ACL.
Yeah.
Which is next year, at least part of next
And he
year.
was like, I know the foot thing had happened this year, but he was finally like healthy and
Yeah, the Liz Frank stuff, I thought we were, was behind us and
playing really well. And like, God,
Yeah.
that guy just can't catch a break.
Yeah. And now, you're
and had earned it. Like everyone had questions about that guy. And he had earned it, man. The play caller for like the #1 defense in the league, like that dude was living it. And God, it's just a huge bummer.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to
and a real loss, like a real loss.
Yeah, yeah. Because at one point we're sitting there like, oh shit, we might be down heat and sled. Luckily, Darius came back. Now Isaiah Rodgers came in and did a great.
Yeah.
Held his own. I thought Jordan Davis played a great game tonight. I thought Jalen Carter again. They actually called a hold against a dude for Jalen Carter, which was awesome.
Milton had a great game.
Milton had a fantastic game. Nolan Smith again tonight was incredible. Jalix Hunt had a couple of pressures. From a safety perspective, GJ almost had a pick. Reed had good coverage on that play. That was just a really nice catch on the sideline. So defensively, my big concern coming out of this is how do you make up for the production of
and just his ability to hit holes.
Yeah.
And disrupt plays.
And blitz.
Right.
Like his ability to blitz.
Burks was clearly hesitant.
Yeah. It's not the same. Like Kobe is so aggressive.
I remember distinctly. It was like a couple plays after Nakobe had come out. And it was a running play to Jacobs. And it was an outside run. And Burks waited and the offensive lineman got up on him. And all I was thinking was Nakobe would have been there already. He would have beat this dude would have had nobody to touch because Nakobe would have already been flying to the ball. And Burks was sitting and waiting and got blocked. Like that's the difference. And that's what we're talking about. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
And so they're gonna have to figure out like what is best for this defense moving forward. You still got 10 of your 11 guys.
Right.
And in this league at this point, linebacker is not seen as vital as it was previously. Now, it's been great this year having two really good ones. It's been awesome having two really good ones. But I do wonder, do we have a Malcolm Jenkins-esque player who can slide into that hybrid spot and make up for some of that production? I'd like to think that Reed can. I don't know if he can. That's a better question for experts like Fran Dunphy.
Yeah.
Sean Syed. Like, is there somebody who can make up for that sort of production? And we'll find out. I'm sure throughout this week they'll be asked questions. They're not going to give much away. Vic's not going to give much away.
Yeah.
We're going to hear that they believe in Oren Burks and they believe in Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And Zach Bond's going to have the green dot.
Yeah.
And you could tell there was some confusion tonight, at least at the onset of the injury. As the game went on, it got a little more settled. But there was a little bit of confusion early on who was where. You could see Bond running around trying to tell people. And that'll settle. That'll be fine once, they have a full week of practice with it. But that's sort of where I'm at with the defense. Some of this stuff is simply out of your control. Injuries happen. The Eagles had a ton of them during the 2017 playoff run. Regz, this game reminded me a lot of that Falcons game
Mm-hmm.
that they won in 17. Like
Yeah.
a grinded out game. It really, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I've heard that. I was listening to, Elliot and James on their post game. I was listening to the PHLY a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what a few of them were saying, is that, it's very similar to that it was used as let's just go win this one. And then we
Yeah.
can just feed off that and feed off that
Yep.
and feed off that. Like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, it's the first game of the playoffs, right? There's jitters, there's whatever. In this
It
case,
is
your
rust.
quarterback's coming back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All those
Mhm.
things. Get
Yeah.
through it, get the win, get back to work, and then just keep feeding on it from there.
Yeah, and so that takes us to the other part of this, and I just want to spend a little bit of time on the offense. It's one of these situations where you've got all these studs, just studs on studs on studs, and Jalen started fine.
Yeah.
He started fine. I'm not sure where it sort of fell apart for him necessarily. Like I can't really figure out where that happened to him.
Right.
The blitz might have been it. Like when they started to send pressure at him, it's hard to really navigate like what exactly threw him
Yeah.
tonight. I thought for the most part they ran it effectively. The positive in this, the major positive from an offensive perspective, Jalen did not put the ball in harm's way at all.
Right.
Not one ball left his hand tonight, and I was like, no. Like,
Yeah.
still took care of the ball. Still was smart with the ball, and they paid dividends for that. The Packers get you if you lose the turnovers to them.
Yeah.
And they didn't. The Eagles won the turnover battle pretty handily tonight. If you
Mhm.
count the 4 and out, they won it 3-0. So you got to feel good at least about even with the rust. And he didn't look sharp. He wasn't quick with the ball.
Right.
He was safe with the ball, and that's how you're going to beat the Packers. So that's what it took tonight, and that's what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if anything, we were very happy that he didn't turn the ball over.
Yes.
I think you were hoping for a little more rhythm to the passing offense.
Yeah.
Because obviously, just like everyone's going to do, they're going to sell out to make sure Saquon Barkley does not kill them.
Yeah.
And not that Saquon was, not that they were like it was a bad running game necessarily, but like, they were making sure they had 5 guys lined up at the line of scrimmage every time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in those situations, if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to be able to pass the ball.
Yeah.
You have to. You're not going to win a Super Bowl if you can't do it.
Right.
That's the bottom line. Yes, you'll beat the Packers. They just proved it. Like you said at the beginning, their C+ game beat the Packers. You're not going to win a Super Bowl that way.
No, you're not beating the likes of
teams that are going to put up 35 points, maybe.
Well, think about the 3 teams in the AFC. You're not beating Mahomes that way.
Right.
You're not beating Josh Allen that way, and you're not beating Lamar Jackson that way.
Yeah.
And look, let's be very real. You're not beating Jared Goff that way.
Right. Right.
So, there's just now Tampa took a 17-13 lead.
Yep.
We've talked about Tampa being, you mentioned Jaden Daniels potentially being their Achilles, their kryptonite. I think it's Todd Bowles. And you want to talk about a guy who's just going to line up 7 on the line?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's what they're going to do. And now look, I stand by my statement. I've made this statement to many. I made it to you. If it's the Bucs, bring it on.
Right.
Because to me, like, we have not lost to the Bucs with a healthy AJ Brown. So, we're 1-3, but that one was a dominant performance in Tampa with AJ Brown.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit ahead of it because we don't know. It's 17-13 with 4.5 minutes left in the third. A lot of game, a lot of time with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels. But as of now, it's the Bucs. And to your point before, this is a team who's going to say, all right, fine, try and run the ball. And we're going to sell out.
Yep.
And then on 3rd and long, we're going to send everybody at Jalen.
Yeah.
And they've had luck doing that.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to figure out the offense and fast.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, they survive. For now, they get another week. Come Thursday, when you and I talk again, we'll have a little bit more in-depth look at what happened. This is our immediate reaction. I've not watched it back. I haven't watched it. I have the TV version ready for tomorrow morning, and I'll watch the film probably Wednesday, maybe tomorrow, because I'm a psycho and that's what I do. But I'll go through, watch it, have some thoughts. We'll debrief it on Thursday, and we'll have our thoughts about the team, whoever it is. We might know tonight.
Yeah.
We might know tonight.
Yep.
If it's Tampa, we already know, and we can settle in. Tomorrow means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If Tampa loses, then we got to care about tomorrow.
That's right.
So, anything else that you want to talk about, buddy? Like, where are you at here? Is there anything else that you want to mention, or did we hit all the high notes?
No. Again, Eagles fans, be happy. We could be the other team. You won your playoff game. There's no guarantees in life, right? Playoffs especially.
Mm-hmm.
You won the game. Let's take it. Let's build on it. Let's hope it was the game that Jalen needed to, just shake the rust off, be ready to go, get the reps in practice, all those things. And whoever it turns out to be, we'll talk about it, but I still don't think any team they're going to play is like that much better than the Eagles. So
I can tell you right now, and this comes with good authority from the perspective of people that, like, I know Ravens fans, I know Bills fans, and all of them said to me, Green Bay would be the one team I don't want to play this weekend as a higher seed. And I don't even think the offense. Like, I think people are talking from a defensive perspective. It's a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Those two safeties are both Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
Like, they're both really good. They're both really. We wanted one of them.
Yeah.
We were begging for one of them.
Yeah.
Like, and he has been every bit as good as like he's been phenomenal this year. So, I think part of what you have to take away from tonight is that's a good defense against a rusty offense. One that hasn't had their quarterback, one that was on a bye pretty much last week. Tuck it away, move along. They started to get a little bit more rhythm that like end of the third, into the fourth. More started to go that direction. So I feel good about the way the game ended versus the way that it started.
Mm.
We'll see what happens. We'll see who it ends up being. But for now, you live to see another week. Survive and advance is all that matters in the NFL playoffs. Nothing else matters. It's really about surviving and moving along.
Yep.
And they did that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we will be back later in the week. We will be back probably Thursday, normal week for us, and ready to preview whatever game it is. My guess, if Tampa wins, they're playing Saturday. If not, they'll be the Sunday game.
Right, because they won't make the guys who play Monday play Saturday.
Correct. So they'll be the Saturday, probably early game, which I don't love.
Yeah.
But that's fine. We'll deal with it. I would much prefer a late Saturday game, but we'll deal, right?
Yep.
Because if you win, then you probably play Sunday. Like, I think both games are on Sunday at the championship weekend.
Yeah, you would think so.
So you get an extra day's rest if you win that game. But for now, we move. We move in advance. So go ahead and click the subscribe button. Go ahead and do that and YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, follow, rate, subscribe. Follow us on social media at the Phixated Pod on Twitter. Big Regz with a Z. Mic Drop 5. Mic Drop 5. Big Regz with a Z. I did that back to back. Goodness. And then head on over to Facebook at the Phixated fan page, at the Phixated Pod on TikTok. And the merchandise link is in the show description. We'll be back on Thursday. Until then, thank you, birds. Whew. Take a deep breath, everyone. We're moving on.
Go Birds, baby.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.